Today, we're going to take a few minutes and talk about how I took my tiny little side hustle and turned it into a thriving six-figure business. Now, this isn't because I did something fantastic or special. No, the reason we're talking about this today is because anyone can do what I did. I am just an ordinary guy who started a side hustle and turned it into something. You are just an ordinary guy as well, who can turn your side hustle into a thriving business. Who am I? I am Greg. I am here to help you stop the grind and build the life you love. I love helping you find success. And today's conversation is all about how I did it and how you can do it too. So let's go back to the beginning. I was in a job that I didn't like, working for a boss who was terrible to work for. Couldn't stand it. And I knew I needed out. Well, this was the push I needed to start my side hustle. I had always wanted to build a business, and for the most part, never really did because I never really had to. I was always offered jobs and could always find a job. Well, that is actually one of the worst things for all of us, is the fact that we get comfortable enough to not pursue our dreams and our passions. So with my miserable job and miserable boss, I finally had enough push out of my comfort zone to do something about it. So for me, I knew I needed an out, and that's what pushed me. I suggest you get started before you need an out, and you'll be in a much better position. You know, there's many people who have been laid off recently. Huge corporations doing massive layoffs again. Then you've got DOGE laying off government workers who were considered to have the most secure jobs there were. Basically, you can't get fired from government, but now it's happening. So there's lots of reasons to have a side hustle. There's lots of reasons to prepare for the unpredictable future, because regardless of how secure you think your job is, it's really not. So in my case, what I did was I started a small side hustle in marketing. That's what I did. I found a customer, one person. And this came up naturally for me. I found a person who was struggling with advertising their business and wanted help. So I offered to help them for a nominal fee. Now that I'm further along in my process, I realized I offered my services for way too cheap. But that's okay, because it was my first customer. And I was working for that customer, getting great results. And then came along another and another. And I kept looking for new customers at this point because I knew what I was doing. I was trying to build a business that would supply me the income that I needed to get out of the job that I was in. Now, what I did was I planned out what my monthly budget was so that I knew how much money I needed to be making. And I kept adding customers, kept adding customers, kept adding customers. And then I set a goal. I need to have X amount of money every month in order to quit my job. So I kept working, and I finally reached that goal. Now, the way I set this goal was by figuring out my budget. I knew how much money I needed every month. Then I added 10% more to it. Why? Because things don't always go as planned. So I added some extra cushion room. And once I reached that goal, I turned in my resignation. Now, I gave my employer 30 days. That's what my contract was. I had to give a 30-day resignation. So I gave them 30 days. During this 30 days, I really ramped up my side hustle. I started seeking more customers and more customers and more customers while continuing to do an excellent job for my final 30 days. So at my full-time job, I was training my replacements on how to do my job, and then on my free time, I was working my side hustle. I continued to add customers and kept going. Finally, my last day came and I was excited. I was able to walk out that door that day and know that I never needed to come back to a job I didn't like, working for a person I didn't like. The next morning, I woke up and suddenly I was working for myself. It felt good, but it felt strange and it felt weird. So what did I do? Well, instead of waiting till I got home that night from my regular job, I started right into what my day would have looked like. I started doing work, and wouldn't you know it, within the first week or two, I lost a customer. This is why I had built Cushion, because this can happen. So I lost that customer. I was honestly quite devastated because to me, I was making great money. I was going to go places. I was going to be a millionaire, all of these things. And then I lost a customer and it really hurt my feelings. Don't let it hurt your feelings. I let it hurt my feelings. It's not personal. It's just business. Now that's easy to say, but it's harder to accept. So what did I do? I kept going. Then I added more customers and more customers. So the one that I lost, no big deal. Over the years, I've lost customers and I've gained customers. It happens. And it took me a long time to get over it when somebody would leave. It's okay. Sometimes people can't afford you. Sometimes people don't need you anymore. Sometimes people think they can do better somewhere else. Whether or not they can, that may be a different story or a different conversation for another day. Whatever the case is, get over it. I know it's hard. You lose a customer, it happens, but you keep on moving. So now, I was building this business, trying to figure out what to do next. I was kind of in some uncharted territory here because I needed to build a thriving business to support my family. So just adding customers was making me crazy busy, which was fantastic, but not at the same time because I wasn't building the life I love. I was just building a new job. So now I needed to start putting some systems in place. Ooh, now it's sounding corporate. But I did. I put some standard things that I do in place. These are the types of customers I want. These are the types of jobs I want. Here's what my fees are. And I'm still learning my fees because I thought I had good rates, but I realized maybe I was a little too low, so I needed to raise them up. So I started playing with new customers coming in, paid a higher rate. New customers coming in, paid a higher rate. Until I found what was really the right spot for the amount of time customers took versus the amount of money I wanted to be making. I also really understood how much time I spend running the business versus just working on the projects for customers. So that was a little bit of a process, and that's okay. We all learn. But the trick is to learn and grow, not just get stuck. So I was able to learn that and add customers. And I remember the first day that I made $1,000 in profit. I thought I was on top of the world. $1,000 a day in just pure profit above expenses. That was incredible. I mean, it's so vivid to me. I remember that day. I thought there was no stopping me. But guess what? New things came up. Eventually, I was so busy I needed to start adding employees. Adding employees changed the game yet again. So I interviewed and I hired somebody. That person turned out to be not a great hire. I hired too quickly because I was busy and I just wanted help. Don't do that. Be slow to hire. Hire wisely. Get the right person who's going to help you reach your goals. What I was looking for and what I eventually found were people who had skills I did not yet have. The reason this is critical is I didn't need to be the smartest man in the room. I needed the talents to do everything the company now was trying to do. So by hiring people with different skill sets than mine, we could offer more skills to our customers, and I could learn from my staff who had skills I didn't have. So this was a game changer. So when you add staff, add skills you don't have, and let those people do their job with excellence, and you're going to learn along the way and provide excellent service to your customers. So now that I started adding employees, this goes plural because I was growing fast. I saw my profit margins actually dip. So my $1,000 a day pure profit started becoming less and less as I added employees. Now I needed to learn the new revenue model. How does this work? I've got more expenses with more employees. I've got to pay the employee. I've got to pay their benefits. I have to pay their taxes. I have to pay for their computers. I have to pay for their desk. I have to pay for their phones. There's so much more to an employee than just the hourly rate you pay them. So I needed to figure this out, and I did. And I put more systems, sounds corporate, in place so that we could all be doing the same quality work, following the same patterns to serve our customers best. But going through this, realizing we needed more money to increase my profit margins, I started taking on work that I didn't want. Not every dollar is a good dollar. You've heard this before? Well, I experienced this hard. Not every dollar is a good dollar. I started taking on some bad customers. And I started going into categories where we really shouldn't have been. That's not what I wanted to do with this business. But I wanted more money. And it wasn't even just that I wanted more money. I had bills to pay and needed money. I felt like I put ourselves, the company, me, in a bad position by having so many expenses that I needed money. So I was starting to take things that weren't the right fit. So I needed to make changes. I did a few employee changeouts, upgraded my talent to something that fit our needs better. And then I really started searching for the right customers. When people would call, I'd start to vet them, decide whether or not they were somebody that I wanted to work with. Were they going to be a problem customer? Were they going to be a good customer? Were they needing services in categories that we wanted to service? So I started changing things because I was miserable once again at work, doing all this work that I didn't like for customers I didn't like. That sounds a lot like where I was before. And you're going to go through these learning curves, but hopefully I can help you accelerate this. So I stopped taking customers I didn't want, and I stopped taking work I didn't want. And I started to take only customers I wanted. All of a sudden, we started to grow really fast again because all of a sudden we were doing the work we wanted, serving customers extremely well, that the referrals went through the roof. It's amazing how that works. By taking less work and doing less types of work, we were being asked to do more. Fantastic problem to have. So now it put us in the position of being able to choose exactly what customers we wanted and exactly what work we wanted. And I kept plugging away at this, and now we are making far more money than I ever thought the company would be making. Even just for us right now, it's just the very beginning of March. So January and February of this year were our best January ever, our best February ever, not only in revenue, but in profit. It was our most profitable January and our most profitable February. And March, I mean, we're too early into March to tell, but looking at the projections of what we have in the works, March is also going to be the best March ever. So this is how I did it. And this is how you can do it. 1, start doing something that you really love doing. Do it during your off time. So you come home from work, you do a little bit of work on a side hustle. You find one customer to serve well. Serve that customer with excellence. Now, find another customer and ask for referrals. So you start to build a customer base. Now, maybe you want to stay with just a side hustle and continue to work your full-time job. That is okay as long as you're doing what you love doing and you have built the life you want. For me, the life I wanted involved more time with my family, more care for my family, and also more financial resources to support my family. So for me, just a side hustle wasn't good enough. Plus, I had a job that I really needed to get out of. So I continued to build mine, and when I had enough revenue going, this is the step you need to take. When you have enough revenue going, you can quit your job and you can go to work full-time for yourself. So now your side hustle becomes your full-time job. And now you can give it more time and more energy to build it bigger and make you even more money. Now, since you're not reporting to a boss anymore, you do have customers, so now you report to them, and that's okay. You can start to build the schedule the way you want your schedule built. So for me, my schedule revolves more around my family than around the work that has to be done. I only accept the work that I want to do, work that I know I can do, and work that fits within the parameters of what I want from my personal life. What is the life that I want to build? What is the legacy I want to leave? The next step is to continue making more of these great customers and not accepting bad jobs. As you do this, the money will stack. And like I said, we now are in a position where we're making more money than ever before. I'm not working as much as I used to, and I enjoy what I'm doing, and I tell more people no than I tell yes who want to be our customers. We actually have a waiting list of people wanting to be a customer because word is out now that the work that we do is incredible. The only reason the work that we do is incredible is because we're doing the work we want for the customers we want to do it for. And when you can build a business like that, there really is no stopping you. Now, I've said all that, but in addition to that, we've added a few other businesses that I'm able to manage and oversee businesses now, each business doing what it's good at, serving its customers with excellence, which has yet again multiplied my income, and you can do the same thing. Now, what I strongly advise you to do is not get sidetracked by other opportunities. Especially if you're entrepreneurial, you'll see opportunity everywhere and you'll want to chase all of them. When you do this, you start to do none of them well, and it all falls apart. Don't do that. Build your one business. If nothing else, focus only on that one business and never on anything else, because you'll make more money that way than starting to diversify out and forgetting to do what you're excellent at and chasing too many rabbits at one time. When you have one business running and running with excellence, consider one more if you want to, but you don't have to. Look at what it's going to realistically take. If you think you can handle it, go ahead and start it small, just like it's a side hustle. Start it like a side hustle. Make sure the original business is not suffering, and make sure you're growing the other business with excellence. If you're able to juggle both, you can continue to grow the second one. If you're finding that the first business is suffering, maybe it's time to say, nope, I can't do that second one right now. That doesn't mean never. That means not right now. You might be able to revisit that in the future. But when you start a second business, start it as a side hustle while working your full-time business as a full-time job and starting the second business essentially as a side hustle. Eventually, if you do start a second business and you get them both up and running, make sure you can run them with excellence, because now the temptation is to start 2, 3, or 4 more. Don't fall for the trap. It is a trap. They will all fall apart when you take your focus away from where it needs to be. These businesses need your attention to run. Now, you may say they're passive businesses, they don't need me. When you remove your attention from them, they will fall apart regardless of how passive they are. They will need some attention. So don't fall from the trap of chasing every rabbit. Focus, focus, focus. When you narrowly focus, you will grow a lot of success. But when you try and spread it all out, it's just a thin layer of mush that just goes to waste. Don't do it. I know you can do this. I believe in you. You can stop the grind and you can build the life you love.